Imagine walking through a forest where every step sends up clouds of glowing spores, where massive fungal towers stretch toward the sky like biological skyscrapers, and where the very ground beneath your feet pulses with a living network more complex than any computer system ever built. This isn't science fiction. It's a scientifically plausible vision of what our planet might look like if fungi inherited the Earth after humanity's next great catastrophe. The story begins with understanding just how remarkable fungi truly are and why they might be the ultimate survivors in a world gone wrong. Right now, beneath every forest on Earth, an invisible empire stretches for thousands of miles. The mycorrhizal networks that scientists have dubbed the Wood Wide Web. These fungal highways connect trees across vast distances, allowing them to share resources, communicate dangers, and even recognize their own relatives. A single teaspoon of forest soil contains more fungal cells than there are people on Earth. And these organisms control the flow of nutrients that keep entire ecosystems alive. But fungi possess something even more extraordinary than their current ecological dominance. They are masters of surviving the impossible. When we look back through Earth's history at the greatest catastrophes our planet has ever endured, fungi emerge as the ultimate survivors, and often the architects of recovery. During the Permian-Triassic extinction event 250 million years ago, the most devastating mass extinction in Earth's history, something remarkable happened after 90% of all marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates disappeared. As the world's forests collapsed and died, fungi exploded in abundance, creating what paleontologists call a fungal spike, a geological layer dominated entirely by fungal remains. This wasn't destruction, it was opportunity. The scientific evidence reveals that fungi didn't just survive this ancient apocalypse, they thrived in ways that would reshape life on Earth forever. These organisms can digest virtually any organic material, from the cellulose in wood to the chitin in insect shells, and they can do it under conditions that would kill almost every other form of life. Some fungi have been discovered growing inside the destroyed Chernobyl nuclear reactor, actually feeding on radiation itself through a process called radiosynthesis. Others survive in conditions of extreme acidity, crushing pressure, and temperatures that would boil most living things. Recent research has revealed that fungi possess an almost supernatural ability to adapt to extreme conditions through evolutionary mechanisms that operate far faster than those of most other organisms. Scientists studying extremophile fungi have discovered they can develop resistance to multiple environmental stresses simultaneously, becoming what researchers call polyextremotolerant, capable of thriving in combinations of high radiation, extreme temperatures, toxic chemicals, and crushing acidity that would create a hellscape for any other form of life. Now imagine the next mass extinction beginning to unfold. Perhaps it starts with nuclear war, filling the atmosphere with smoke and ash that blocks sunlight for years in a nuclear winter scenario. Maybe it's triggered by runaway climate change, creating temperatures and weather patterns that exceed the tolerance of most current species. Or it could be a cascade of environmental destruction caused by pollution, deforestation, and ecological collapse. Regardless of the cause, as plant photosynthesis shuts down and food webs collapse, most animals begin to starve and die in massive numbers. But fungi would see this catastrophe differently. Every dead tree becomes a feast. Every fallen animal represents a banquet of organic compounds waiting to be broken down and recycled. As the complex ecosystems of today crumble, fungi would begin their patient work of decomposition and transformation, just as they did 250 million years ago. The difference is that this time they're starting with a much more advanced evolutionary toolkit. The first phase of fungal dominance would be subtle, almost invisible to any surviving observers. As traditional food webs collapse, the existing mycorrhizal networks would begin expanding rapidly, no longer constrained by the energy demands of their plant partners. These networks, which already process more carbon than all the world's forests combined, would become the primary recycling systems for a dying planet. But here's where the story becomes truly extraordinary. Fungi don't just decompose organic matter. They can also break down and metabolize synthetic materials, plastics, and even toxic compounds that would poison other organisms. Within decades of the initial catastrophe, the most stress-tolerant fungal species would begin to diversify rapidly through a process that evolutionary biologists call adaptive radiation. The empty ecological niches left by extinct animals and plants would become opportunities for fungal innovation. Species that once lived symbiotically with tree roots might evolve to become free-living, developing new methods of harvesting energy from their environment. Some might become more efficient at capturing and using the limited sunlight filtering through a dust-filled atmosphere, while others might perfect their ability to extract energy from dead organic matter or even radioactive decay. The truly remarkable transformation would occur over the following centuries, as fungi began to fill roles previously occupied by animals and plants. Evolution has shown us that life consistently develops similar solutions to environmental challenges through a process called convergent evolution. In the fungi-dominated world, we might see the emergence of mobile fungal organisms. Imagine mycelial networks that could contract and expand to move across landscapes in search of resources, or fungal bodies that developed specialized structures for different functions. Some fungal lineages might evolve tower-like structures that could reach toward whatever sunlight remained, developing photosynthetic capabilities by incorporating captured algae or bacteria into their tissues through endosymbiotic relationships. These fungal trees could grow to enormous sizes, supported by their incredibly efficient internal transport networks, creating forests that look alien to our eyes, but function according to the same basic principles that govern all ecosystems. Other fungi might develop predatory behaviors, evolving trap-like structures or toxins to capture and digest other organisms. We already see examples of this in carnivorous fungi that can trap and digest nematodes, but in the post-extinction world, these hunting strategies could become far more sophisticated and target much larger prey. Imagine fungal species that could coordinate their attacks through chemical communication across their vast networks, working together like a distributed intelligence to bring down larger organisms. The most fascinating possibility involves the evolution of truly complex fungal organisms, perhaps something like a fungal equivalent of intelligence. Mycorrhizal networks already demonstrate sophisticated information processing capabilities, able to optimize resource distribution across vast distances and respond to environmental changes faster than many plants and animals can react. In a world where fungi are the dominant information processors, these networks might evolve genuine cognitive abilities, becoming biological superorganisms capable of learning, memory, and even primitive decision-making. One of the most scientifically plausible scenarios involves fungi developing entirely new metabolic pathways to exploit energy sources that become available in a post-catastrophe world. If the extinction event involves nuclear contamination, radiotrophic fungi like those found at Chernobyl could diversify into multiple species that specialize in harvesting different types of radiation. If climate change creates vast areas of extreme temperature or acidity, thermophilic and acidophilic fungi could expand into these new environments and evolve spectacular new forms. The timeline for these transformations would unfold over millions of years, but fungi have demonstrated that they can evolve remarkably quickly when environmental pressures demand it. Laboratory studies have shown that fungal populations can develop significant new traits within just a few hundred generations, a timescale of mere decades for rapidly reproducing species. In the high-stress environment following a mass extinction, natural selection would operate with extraordinary intensity, potentially accelerating evolution even further. Perhaps most remarkably, fungi might eventually develop complex reproductive strategies that go far beyond anything we see in today's world. Some species might evolve elaborate dispersal mechanisms, creating specialized spore-producing structures that could launch their offspring across continents or even into space. Others might develop multi-stage life cycles that allow them to exploit different environments and resources as they mature, much like how modern butterflies transition from caterpillars to flying adults. The ultimate outcome of this fungal takeover might be the emergence of a truly alien-looking biosphere, one where the dominant organisms are neither plant nor animal as we understand them, but something entirely new. Picture landscapes dominated by vast fungal meadows that shimmer with bioluminescence, fungal reefs in the oceans built from calcifying species, and fungal cloud forests in the sky where aerial mycelia drift on air currents like living fog. But here's the most thought-provoking aspect of this scenario. Such a world might actually be more stable and resilient than the ecosystems we know today. Fungi are masters of cooperation and resource sharing, and a fungal-dominated biosphere might be less prone to the boom and bust cycles that characterize many animal-dominated ecosystems. The global mycorrhizal networks could function like a planetary nervous system, instantly communicating environmental changes and coordinating responses across continents. This vision of fungal dominance isn't just science fiction. It's grounded in everything we know about how life responds to catastrophe and opportunity. Fungi have been perfecting the art of survival for over 400 million years, and they've already demonstrated their ability to inherit the Earth once before. Their remarkable biochemical versatility, rapid evolutionary adaptation, and unparalleled ability to recycle nutrients make them perhaps the most likely candidates to dominate any post-human world. The fungal future forces us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of life itself. What does it mean to be the dominant species on a planet? Is intelligence necessary for ecological success? Or might the distributed, network-based information processing of fungi represent a more sustainable model for planetary-scale consciousness? Could a world run by fungi be more environmentally stable than one dominated by large, resource-intensive animals like ourselves? The science suggests that if we want to understand the true resilience of life on Earth, we need look no further than the humble mushroom sprouting from forest soil. Beneath its simple appearance lies a biological network more complex and adaptable than anything human technology has yet achieved. In a world facing its next great extinction, the fungi are waiting patiently in the soil, ready to inherit whatever comes next. They've done it before, and the laws of evolution suggest they could certainly do it again. But this time, they might create something more magnificent and strange than we can possibly imagine.